You know, we tend to think of the past as this fixed, unchangeable place. It's a fact, right? But what if it isn't? What if time itself is more like a story we're constantly telling ourselves? A story that, believe it or not, we rewrite every single day. Okay, let's just start with a question that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's actually a really serious philosophical idea. What if the past, as we think of it, this solid, unchangeable thing, what if it simply doesn't exist? What if it's something else entirely? To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at this quote from the philosopher George Herbert Mead. Now, it sounds a little dense at first, I know. The emergent, when it appears, is always found to follow from the past, but before it appears, it does not by definition follow from the past. This single idea holds the key to a radical new way of thinking about time. So let's unpack it together. Okay, so here's Mead's core argument. He says that reality only ever exists in the present moment. Not the past, not the future, just the now. That's the only thing that's real. Everything else, well, that's an interpretation. It's a story we build from where we're standing today. So let's just compare these two views. On one hand, we have our common sense idea. The past is a fixed record, kind of like a film we can rewind. It happened, it's done, you can't change it. But Mead, he argues for something completely different. He says the past is actually a flexible story that we are constantly rewriting. Every single time something new happens in the present, we subtly or sometimes, dramatically change the story of how we got here. And this brings us to Mead's big idea of the emergent. So what is an emergent? Well, it's a new, totally unexpected event that pops up in the present. And because it was unpredictable, our old version of the past just can't explain it. So what do? We have to create a new past, a new story, where this new event now makes perfect sense. In this view, the past is always serving the present. Okay, I get it. That's some pretty heady philosophy. But does this idea of actively building our sense of time have any real-world impact? Well, let's see how it plays out in our daily lives through the very language we speak. So, it turns out that languages all over the world talk about the future in really different ways. Some, like English, are called futured languages. We have to use a distinct future tense. We say, it will rain tomorrow, which clearly separates it from it is raining now. But then you have other languages like German that are futureless. They often just use the present tense for both, saying something like, tomorrow it rains, which grammatically ties the future much, much closer to the present. And this leads to a pretty fascinating hypothesis. Does this little grammatical quirk actually change our perception? I mean, if your language forces you to talk about the future as some fundamentally different time, does that make the future feel more distant, more abstract, and less connected to what you do today? Well, a major study actually compared the economic behaviors of people who speak these different types of languages, and the results? They are striking. Speakers of futureless languages, the ones who grammatically connect the present and future, they consistently show more future-oriented behavior. They save more money, they're less likely to smoke, and they're more concerned about their long-term health. It's almost like, for them, the future just doesn't seem so far away. So our perception of time isn't passive at all. It turns out that mental tools, like the grammar we use every day, are actively building our reality. By talking about the future differently, we end up behaving differently in the present. It's just like Mead suggested, we are actively constructing our relationship with time. This is incredible, right? But is this ability to flexibly construct and use time, is it uniquely human? To find out, let's zoom in even further, from entire human societies down to the cognitive world of a single animal. Let's see how they use the past. So let me introduce you to the Western scrub jay. These birds are famous for hiding or caching food to eat later. But they're not just stashing it away randomly. Groundbreaking research has shown they have something called episodic-like memory, which means they remember what they hid, where they hid it, and, this is the crucial part, when they hid it. Okay, let's walk through this brilliant experiment. Scientists gave these scrub jays 2 different types of food to hide. First, tasty pine nuts, which last a long time. And second, their absolute favorite treat, waxworms, which unfortunately spoil after just a few days. The jays were then allowed to come back and get the food after either a short delay or a long delay. So after a short delay of just 4 hours, the worms are still totally fresh. And, no surprise here, the jays go straight for the worm tray. They're using their memory of what they hid and where to get their favorite snack while it's still good. Makes sense. But this is the genius part. After a long delay of 76 hours, the jays know those worms have spoiled. So what do? They completely switch their strategy. They ignore the worms and go for the pine nuts instead. This shows an absolutely incredible flexibility in their thinking. You see, the bird isn't just replaying a fixed memory like a video. It's actively using information about the past, what it did and when it did it, and it's combining that with knowledge about the world to make the best possible decision right now. It's reconstructing the past to serve the present, exactly like Mead's theory would predict. Okay, so we've looked at philosophy, linguistics, and animal cognition. Three very different fields, all pointing toward the same really radical idea. So what happens when we put it all together? What does it all mean for us? All of these different threats, they all point to one big idea. Time is a tool we actively wield, not just a river we float down. From philosophy, we see the past as a story we tell to explain our present. From language, we see our grammar literally shaping how we act towards the future. And from biology, we see memory as this flexible tool for solving problems right now. In every single case, our relationship with time is active and constructive. And this brings us right back around to George Herbert Mead with this final powerful idea. The past is as hypothetical as the future. Think about that. If the past is something we build for our present needs, then it isn't a fixed certainty. It's a story. And the storyteller is us, right now. So, if the story of your past isn't written in stone, if you can reinterpret it and reconstruct it from where you stand today, then what story are you going to choose to tell? What version of your past will you create to build the present and the future that you really want?